Hey guys, how's it going? Your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. I thought, as it's the 7th month, I've been thinking about this video for a while. Tomorrow I'm hoping to do like questions to ask God, but in this case I thought I'd do a question to ask Christians. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope to hear from or read from the comments of people generally, but especially obviously people of the Christian faith, like their answers to these questions, which I'd be interested to hear. I used to go to a church group where they were talking about like they invited people to ask some questions because they wanted more people to find out about the faith or things like that. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this video, as I say, and as ever, I'd love to hear your comments. I imagine mostly the people who would comment would be Christian, but again, I welcome anyone's comments, anything you want to comment or post. But this is mainly aimed at Christians, maybe people of other faith, like what you think about Christianity or things like that. Hopefully people will keep it polite, but I'm not going to police the comments, as I never do, really. You can write what you want, type what you want, but as far as I'm concerned, unless obviously YouTube has something else to say about it. Anyway, I'm going to try and crack on with the video because I hope to do so before my siblings come back from wherever they are. Anyway, as a personal family business that they're attending to, so I probably shouldn't mention it just in case. But anywho, here goes. So number one, I would love to know what, again from Christians, what makes you a Christian, or what made you decide to become a Christian? What was something that pushed you? Was it fear? Was it hope? Was it something within the message of the Bible or whatever, or church, or something someone said to you that made you a Christian, or whatnot? What was it that, I say, anything you personally, could be something I never thought about, of course, or whatnot, that made you a Christian. So I'd love to know, number one, as I say, what made you a Christian. Number two, if there's anything you would want people to learn about the Christian faith, like atheists or people from other religions, what would it be? Number three, what does faith mean to you? But also, what does freedom mean to you? Because like freedom, I have two definitions of freedom. I often say it's a bit sad in a way, a tiny bit sad. Not it's a first world problem, but it's a bit sad that it's that freedom that I don't have three definitions for freedom, but I have two. One is, I think it would go like, it'd be quite fitting if I had three definitions, because like freedom reminds me of number three and vice versa. But one definition I have for freedom is doing that whatever you want to do without the fear of reprisals and or repercussions. And the second one is not having to do what you don't want to do without fear of reprisal and or repercussions. So dare I say, like who you sleep with, or basically what you do with your money, what you do with your life, your body, whatever, it would be entirely up to you. Or even I think, as a libertarian, I still think there should be some curtails on freedom, because I suppose 7 billion people couldn't be free, because my definition of freedom, you couldn't make 7 billion people or a massive amount of people like that, or even 1 million people probably, or even 10 people perhaps free completely, because for a woman to be free from harassment, shall we say, to put it simple, a person who was a harasser would have to have some of their freedoms, dare I say, curtailed. But to me, freedoms have nothing to do with ethics as such. I think as soon as you start saying what's right and wrong, in a way, you're already curtailing people's freedom in a way, perhaps, or you're more likely to curtail people's freedom, at least, because you're sort of saying you shouldn't do this or you should do that, especially with not just telling them you shouldn't, but actually telling them you won't, and you're making laws against it. So that every law there is, to me, is a violation of freedom. But I'd love to read or hear from what Christians about what freedom means to you. Is it like freedom from fear? Like, I find it confusing. Christianity says the truth will set you free, Jesus will set you free, the Son will set you free, or if you're a Christian, you're free. But to me, it feels like one of the least free things, because there's so many rules. One of the least free, as in freedom, sort of things, because there's so many rules and regulations and laws. But a lot of Christians say, I'm sure there's quite a lot of Christians, I've heard of at least a few, who say, I probably should get rid of this moustache, but yeah, not that, but anyway, who say that they feel free. But like, to me, Christianity is one of the least free things. It's like, again, freedom things, because it's like there's so many rules and regulations. Some of them I kind of understand, but I still think some of them are a bit of a pain in the neck. But yeah, I'd love to know what freedom means to you. As I say, my definitions of freedom are very different. They're like you doing whatever you want to do without fear of reprisal or repercussion, and or not having to do what you don't want to do without fear of reprisal and or repercussions, or any repercussions or reprisals. But like, apparently the Satanic Bible says the law is summoned up in do what thou wilt, which to me would kind of be free, although it would be selfish in many ways, but it would still be free. And so, as I say, I don't think it's anything to do with morals or ethics necessarily, because if you are free and you're not a good person, you'll use your freedom to do bad. I assume. And if you're good, you'll probably use it to do good, most likely, almost certainly, in fact. Anyway, I'm going to move on. I say I want the video to be done quickly, as quickly as possible, but I do want to cover certain questions. I say number 4, does Christianity give you hope, or is it, like I say, is it based on fear? Is it something that you're afraid of? Like, one of the things I find a dilemma is, even though I believe in God and all that, although my faith has been challenged, it's a bit of a dilemma, because it feels like it's not done through love, it's done through like fear, a fear of something bad that would happen to you if you don't believe, like obviously going to hell and stuff like that. Whereas I wonder if any Christians feel that it's actually hope. But to me, that's like, doesn't that itself mean that that a lot of people would believe that it's not, it doesn't really give you the freedom, as I say, going back to my 3 point, but does it give you hope personally, if you're honest? Hopefully it answers these questions as honestly as possible. Or is it a bit of both? Because some people, I think some Christians will probably say it gives warnings but also hope. So it gives a bit of both messages. So it's not all hope and it's not all warnings. I've even heard some Christians, 1 or 2 Christians at least, say like, you should thank God for life itself, but it oftentimes doesn't feel like that. But I've heard other Christians say God made you for his pleasure, not for your pleasure, or not for your own joy or happiness or whatever, but for his own pleasure. So I wonder, if God made you for his own pleasure, why would you be thankful for that, if you know what I mean? So do you think, that's another question I can ask, do you think you should be thankful for God, and if so, for what? Like, some people say even for small mercies, like even being able to see, being able to walk, having good health, generally, being able to eat, being able to drink, or things like that. So are the things you're grateful for and grateful that God provides, if you're honest again? I imagine most Christians will probably talk about what they're grateful for, but I wonder if Christians would be honest and say maybe there's some things that you're not so grateful for. Number 5, what do you think the purpose of God made people? I know that's probably the biggest question. Like, obviously, it's a big question people have asked for history, like what's the purpose of life, or what do you? And I know people have already talked about, like in the Alpha courses, whatever, but I'm not really attending to any of those. But I know some people are atheists say like, there is no point to life, and that's the beauty of it. It's like you have to blaze your own path or find your own way. But I wonder what Christians think about that. I think it'd be interesting. Number 6, why do you think it is that God didn't bless? This is a question I would love to ask God as well, but I thought I'd ask while I'm on this video. I didn't really plan it out what specific questions I'd ask, but why do you think it is that God didn't bless my works? Or like, so I said a rather controversial prayer, like I said, for all these writings I have, like I know I hoard writings, so maybe God, that's what I'm trying to get to the bottom of. Like, is it because God said you have too many of them or whatever? But I was hoping God wouldn't allow anyone to read my work or give it away, or even put it in recycling, or even give it away to charity, unless it was the charities of my choice, or buy or sell it, or do anything with my works without my choice. I know I do have like thousands of notebooks, to be honest, and a terrible hoarding problem. Like, I'd be the world's worst hoarder and keep notebooks everywhere. Do you think that's why God perhaps thought I was being greedy or something like that? But because I was saying a controversial prayer, but like anyone who tried to touch any of my writings would fall and injure himself just before they get to this, so I wouldn't be able to do it. But do you think I was being harsh? I suppose that's a question anyone could answer. And do you think that there's a specific reason? Because I was thinking, like, a lot of people say, whatever you ask and you shall receive. So I was hoping, like, if I was, and even if I prayed for God to bless my work and not let anyone touch it without my permission, I was hoping he would do so. So that really questioned my faith as well. Like, but do you think there's a reason, or maybe a message God is giving to me, like, don't be too greedy, or God gives us free will? But so I suppose he couldn't stop someone from doing that of their own free will, but maybe he could stop them from having the ability to, like, they'd fall before they get there, or something would happen. So, or maybe even, I suppose, if you went into their mind and stopped them, whatever, it would be taken away their free will. So anyway, I'd love to hear what you think about that one. I hope that made sense. Number 7, what do you think are the biggest biblical teachings people should learn if they were thinking about Christianity or whatever? Or what would you like, as I say, what would you like non-Christians or people generally to know, even other Christians perhaps, who you might feel are lukewarm Christians or whatever? What sort of biblical quotes or phrases or teachings do you think people should learn generally, basically, who might not know them or should be reminded of even? Number 8, the controversial question. I don't know if I really want to know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway, like, because of my patterns and all that. But do you think God loves everyone? Because I hear a lot of Christians say God does not love everyone, but he hates a lot, which I find really confusing. Like a God who's said to be a God of love, like sending most of the world to hell, or punishing people who seems to be angry a lot of time, or things like that. And people say he hates non-believers, or he hates sinners or whatever. Some people, like someone was arguing on a Christian group, they were saying a lot of people say God hates the sin but not the sinner, but he said his argument was there are people God hates. So I'd love to hear different Christian viewpoints and like biblical passages, that you could quote, that you could give for your argument either way. Like, do you think God? Like, I heard one Christian say that God loves everyone, but the world is like this evil energy which is controlled by demons, which God hates, or something like that. So I found that really confusing. But yeah, for a God of love, he does seem to hate a lot of people. But I'd love to hear from different biblical quotes about that one. I know it's a very confusing topic because some people say loaded, whatever that means. We'll probably call it loaded or whatever. But I know it's something that people say you'll never really get around to, like the freedom issue, or what freedom means to most people, what it means to Christians, or what it means in the Bible, or whatever. But yeah, I hope to try and get to the bottom of it at least. But yeah, basically, I'd love to hear your answer, what you think about that, or is it like confusing or not as simple as possible? Number 9, do you think God ever would bless my works? And what do you think I could do to make him bless my works? Or do you think maybe some of my sins are preventing him from blessing my works, like my writings and plans and stuff like that? I would love to know what you think about that. I might not like the answer, but it would be, I still think I'd ask it anyway. But yeah, do you think there's something I could pray or something I could do? Or is it because of my lack of faith that he didn't bless my work as much as I would like? Or do you think he's saying you have too much of it and you have to focus on a few ideas or whatnot? Because I do often think my ideas are ethical and all that, or is it just because the world is imperfect? But again, I'd love to hear what you think about that. Again, just to simplify the question, do you think there's anything I could do to make God bless my works or actions? And number 10, do you think God cares for children and animals? Again, I'd love to hear biblical quotes to support your case or argument or point of view or whatnot. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I know it's mainly for Christians, but maybe other people from other religions can get involved and talk about what they think of Christianity, or whether they agree with it or disagree with it, or what bits they like or don't like, or what they think, or whether they think people have got the interpretations wrong or whatever. But anyway, I'd love to hear from everyone, especially Christians, and I am out. Peace and love.